Welcome back to the Paramount Cricket Complex in Paramount, Georgia, in Cummings, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. My mind is fried and it's not even 10:30 in the morning yet. But don't worry about me. I have the lovely, the talented Keshav Bahadur Singh right next to me. Good morning, Keshav.
Good morning, Brian. Definitely a pleasure to be back here at the Paramount Sports Complex here in Georgia. Excited for another day of lovely cricket. Day 2 in the Atlanta Open T20. In this first matchup, we have the Knight Riders United against the DCC Raiders Unlimited. And I'm sure, Brian, it's going to be a very exciting encounter.
Well, we were right here on this ground yesterday. We saw the Knight Riders. And the Knight Riders, I think, looked less than ideal as far as their standards are concerned. They will learn from that, and they're a very good side. The flip side to that argument, though, is that they're up against an equally stiff opponent here. The DCC Raiders Unlimited are a very, very good side. And by the way, what happened at the toss is that the Knight Riders won the toss and decided to bowl. So they've inserted the DCC Raiders into bat. The two batters at the crease now, Yandev Singh Chauhan and Sushant Modani. Sushant Modani is currently the non-striker. The striker will be Yandev Singh Chauhan. Really interesting match about to get underway here, Keshav.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, as you said, going to be a more even contest, given the fact that both teams have a lot of experience and professionals in their camp. So we're ready for the first ball of the first game of day 2.
Hammered straight down the ground for 4, the very first delivery. I think that will get to the boundary. No, interestingly, it slowed down a little bit. I thought that would have gotten to the boundary, but it did not. So off and running, the very first delivery struck down the ground for 2. The opening bowler is Sohail Khan, and we're off and running.
Yeah, lovely looking stroke there. I think just due to the amount of overnight dew, there's a bit of moisture just close to the boundary edges around the pitch itself. So may very well be a factor why the ball would have probably slowed up before reaching to that boundary rope itself.
It's interesting because as firmly as that ball was struck, I thought even with the dew it would have gotten all the way to the boundary, but it did not. That's the longer of the two boundaries, but that's not saying much. It's about 65 yards. Still, I thought that would have gotten to the boundary. But anyway, look at that great delivery going past the outside edge. Yandev Singh Chauhan looking quizzically at the pitch. Interesting, we looked at the pitch earlier on, and you, the experienced cricketer that you are, had a few thoughts. What are your thoughts on the pitch itself?
Well, when we looked at the pitch this morning compared to the pitch that they used yesterday, there's definitely a lot more grass on it. And again, the overnight moisture just leaves it with a bit of wet spots here and there. However, we hope that the sun would dry them out soon and allow it to be an even surface.
Bang on target here. It's the kind of length that causes the batter to get up on his toes. That time you saw a little bit of evidence of that bounce that's in that pitch.
Yeah, I think it was really well played because the ball was in a good length and it actually reached just up to about chest height. So he had to just get into that backward defensive position. And we did see yesterday many players trying to pull those sort of deliveries or cut and miss timing. So I think he has the right idea, does Chauhan.
Slash and a miss through to wicketkeeper Lahir Malanta. So the man who is currently down at deep third, Imran Khan Jr., you would think that he'd be the opening bowler coming from the northern end of the ground to start over number 2.
Yeah, you can see him already limbering up as you speak.
That is the captain's eye right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the kind of stuff that the captain looks for.
Yeah, and we're excited to see how much movement he's going to get with that new ball. Know that he swings the ball both ways. Really good left arm pacer.
4 deliveries into this match. Ooh, interesting. A bit of what appeared to be, was that a slower delivery? Took the pace off, didn't he?
It seems to be a cutter. I'm not sure if he intended it to be a slow bouncer, but the ball itself, it just held up in the pitch.
Yes.
And a couple awkward bounces through to the keeper. And unfortunately, didn't hold the ball cleanly, so they were able to go through for a single. And now it brings the non-striker to the batting end. Sushant Modani is about to face his first delivery. Sure, you would have been very observant from that non-striker position, looking at the variable bounce with the first 4 deliveries.
Sushant Madan has been around for a while, played for 3 seasons with the Houston Hurricanes in the minor league system. I believe he's now currently playing for the Lone Star Athletics, so he stays in Texas. Full delivery, good looking strike, racing across the carpet. Will this get to the boundary? It will get to the boundary. Proper cover drive for 4.
That's a beautiful stroke there from Modani. Exactly as we were saying yesterday, Brian, for a batsman to start his innings with that sort of confidence and play through the V's. As you can see, just gets in the line of the ball, puts that front foot forward, and plays through the gap. Very smart shot.
Lovely strike. So that completes over number 1. 7 runs are on the board, and we're off and running here in this 2024 edition of the Atlanta Open, presented by Tarek Real Estate. By the way, we never did mention, and to my knowledge and / memory, this is the first match that I can remember calling where both umpires have nothing to do with cricket other than the fact that they like it and they learned it. For me, that is such an important element of development of cricket in this country. Brian Kane, who is now going to be operating, you'll see the back of him in just a second. Currently at square leg, Judson Edwards, who we saw yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very great experience to have 2 US-based umpires involved, and their passion for the game, just having a chat with them before, is really immense.
Oh, gave him some width. Crashed away over the offside for 4. Not the best of starts by Imran Khan.
Yeah, as a swing bowler, I don't think you'd want to be looking at that length. Just probably wants to go a bit fuller and force the batsman to come forward, see if there's any movement.
Oh,
a really good looking shot indeed.
A great shot. I think the phrase is a hit me ball.
Yes.
So very wide, not threatening the stumps in any way, shape, or form. Nobody in the deep on the offside. You can easily cash in on those. Tell you what, he may just have gotten away with that. Overcorrected, went a little too straight, guided it directly to short fine leg. Get a single.
So just needs to find a bit of consistency with the line and length. Yeah, this can. Early goings yet, so there's 2 deliveries.
It's going to be an interesting matchup. Sushant Modani, who up until this year was relatively, let's call him, wiry. Bulked up a little bit significantly. Yesterday was the first time I'd seen him in a few weeks, and he's significantly more muscular. So I want to see if that helps with his batting. Oh, no question that's bouncing over the top of a second set of stumps. That's an ambitious appeal there for Imran Khan.
And he took a lot of pace off of that delivery. And you can see he just rolled his fingers as he released the ball.
Oh, great camera work here. Great camera work.
Excellent. And also going down leg in terms of the height. Ball
going
pitch.
Down leg, pitching outside leg, and bouncing over the top.
3 strikes.
Apart from that, it's bang on target.
That's much, much better.
So he's recovered well here, Imran Khan, from a loose delivery to start, followed up with 3 good, well, maybe 1 decent ball and 2 good balls. But those 3 deliveries have only cost him 1 extra run so far.
And as you mentioned, umpire Brian Keane, I was just having a chat with him this morning. He said that he did approximately 115 matches already for this year in the U.S. And it's great to have him out there in the Atlanta T20 Open.
Brian Kane lives in the New York area, so does, I don't know, a few dozen matches every month up there. That might be slightly exaggerating, but not by much. He's a very in-use umpire in that part of the country. Very popular with the players. He's firm as he needs to be as an umpire, but personable in ways that the stereotypical umpire is not. and Judson Edwards from the Florida area. And we pray for his family as they're close to the Tampa area ahead of that storm that's on the way. Top edge, that's going to fly over to deep third. How far does it get? Gets all the way for 4. Aggression rewarded.
Yeah, no risk, no reward. And he definitely got the benefit of that shot. Thick outside edge, and the third man was in the circle, so by all means, full license. And went the complete opposite direction of where he intended. You could see after the shot, he was looking towards the leg side, but just had a bit of a spin around to ensure that the ball went safely to the boundary.
You can probably argue that this would have gone 180 degrees away from where he was aiming for it. He was aiming in our direction. It literally went the exact opposite way. But you'll take the runs. 2 overs in the book, 16 without loss to score. There we try to do that math on the air. 2 overs, 16 runs.
I will take a humble guess and say that's 8 runs per over.
Boom. There it is.
Stage.
Sign you up. So he'll con back into the attack for his second over, third of the innings. Tell you what, I like his pace, and he's getting good bounce. I thudded into what appeared to be it sounded like his glove. That's a good hard length to ball.
Nice smooth run-up action delivery, and is generating a decent amount of pace. So just has to force the batsman to play and don't really give them any loose deliveries early up so that they will get accustomed and confident in the wicket. He has to use that pace to, in fact, intimidate the batsman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to be too aggressive, but that's the job of a fast bowler, as you very well would know.
I mean, don't necessarily need to pat myself on the shoulder, but let me go ahead and pat myself on the shoulder.
I'll do it for you.
Oh, scoop shot. Sushant Madani breaks out the scoop, and it just clears fine leg. 1 bounce for your opinion, sir, about a scoop shot in over number 3 of a T20.
I would say that as someone who loves Test cricket and is not fully versed
Yes.
in playing those shots myself,
Yes.
I would consider it a risk. However, the execution, I must say, was spot on. He got the desired result. He knew that the fielder at short fine leg was within the circle, and he played it, you know, at his own risk and his own peril. However, got through successfully.
You and I can stipulate that we're both, well, one of us is old and the other has an old soul. And so the idea of playing a scoop shot at all is one that we roll our eyes at. But if you're going to play it, that is how to play it.
Yep.
Oh, started to advance down the track. The ball missed. It's kind of a wild hoik outside off stump. A dot ball eventually.
So what we have noticed from Sohail Khan is that just on or around the 3rd or 4th delivery in his over, he tends to use that slower ball variation. Sometimes a slower bouncer or sometimes just a cutter.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always around either the 3rd or 4th delivery. So not to be too predictable, but at the same point in time, he has gotten through 2 dot deliveries with those slower deliveries.
Interesting to see what he follows up with here. There's a slower delivery again. Ali Sheikh at backward point as they scramble through for, well, I said scramble. They jogged through for a single. That was always going to be a single. So, yesterday we saw both teams batting first end up at exactly 129. Your thoughts about where this pair might end up, and by extension, the team?
Given the fact that they already have a much more positive start, I would think the pass score today should be on around 150, 160. There is a bit of extra grass on the surface, as we mentioned this morning, and that should hopefully allow for the ball to come through a bit cleaner and for the batsman to strike through the line.
End of Chahan, 8 from 8. Sushant Madani more enterprising, 13 from 8. 5th ball of the over coming up. Short delivery, pulled into the deep. That is Akhilesh Bodhagam out there on the boundary ropes. Should just be a single. So 1 ball remaining here. Good start, as you mentioned. 23 on the board, so the scoring rate is 8.12. Projection there is right in line with what you just said. 162 would be the projection based on that scoring rate.
And they're playing smart cricket. Apart from the scoop shot, We haven't really seen
Yeah.
no real set of slugging.
Yep.
Just proper cricketing strokes and good running between the wickets. They both seem very speedy, and anything that's within the circle, just dropping the ball with soft hands and taking that single on offer.
You remember the last ball of over number 1 went through extra cover for 4. Let's see what he does here. Hammered into the deep. That is Matthew Trump. That is a good piece of fielding. He saves 3 runs easily because that could have gone anywhere. They just get a single to close out over number 3. That is the end of 3. The score is 24 without loss.
An excellent dive and stop there. The ball was traveling like a bullet. And initially we were wondering if it probably would have reached him for a catch, but died just before. And we know, Brian, those are some of the most difficult fielding efforts to have in terms of a ball. You're unsure if to go for the catch or if to prevent the boundary.
Number 1, what you just said is exactly accurate. Number 2, the additional element is that it was struck very flat. And so those are harder to judge. It's like, do I go in with a chance to catch it, knowing that I might end up eating a cricket ball? Those are difficult decisions to make, but he fielded that beautifully.
Yeah, what I like about it as well is that when he dived, he actually dives with his entire body spread alongside the rope, so that even if the ball happened to just, hit anywhere awkwardly, he at least ensured he had extra protection.
That's exactly right. So 1 over from Imran Khan goes for 9 runs, and Captain Naman Anwar already making a change, a very early change. I didn't think that we'd see one this early, but this is going to be Asad Rafiq, left arm orthodox. A couple of left arm orthodox bowlers in the side, along with Ali Sheikh. Asad Rafiq bowling around the wicket. You have the 2 right-handed batters at the crease. Oh, look at this. A bit of grip, and that ball bounced a little bit on him.
And from that first delivery, I think we can see why the skipper decided to bring on spin. In fact, even from yesterday, yes, we are on a different pitch, but they are both next to each other. And we saw how prevalent left-arm orthodox was in terms of, even in the second game, I believe 4 left-arm orthodox bowlers were used in 1 innings alone.
It's a bold move. You have to have full confidence that your left-arm bowlers, or your bowlers, period, who are bowling inside the power play, if you're a slow bowler, that you can keep it there or thereabouts. If you go too full, too short, you can get punished, obviously, inside the power play, only 2 fielders outside the circle. And the 2 outside, interestingly, are down at square leg, or they call it mid-wicket, and long off. So you have a couple of different options. The field at square leg suggests that they're expecting for Sushant Madani to sweep. Exactly. Boy, you are bang on target with your analysis, sir. You're not just a pretty face. So, as I was saying...
Are you talking about yourself? Because I agree.
Tell me about the thought of having long off be there with the left arm spinner.
As we see that reverse sweep being played.
Is that going to run away? No, they'll get 2. So interesting. So tell me about that.
With the long off placement, I actually like that because it adds another element in the mind of the batsman. He's aware that there's a fielder out on the boundary on the offside as well as the leg side. So traditionally, you might see the 2 fielders being placed on the same side. Or even you might see the 2 fielders straight back, long off and long on, being there for a spinner. But this just lets him know that you can't also try to hit me through the offside easily. Sometimes if they see fielders on the leg side, they will try to back away from the stumps and play through that offside gap, but there is some protection on the boundary.
In addition, the ball, if there's any turn, it's going to be away from the right-hander, which is where if the batter does what he's supposed to do and plays with the turn, it will go in that direction towards long off. So last 3 balls coming up here in over number 4. Sliced away, nobody out there, a long run, and not even Ali Sheikh can get to it. Look at that diving stop on the boundary, and the bullet throw right over the stumps. Okay, I promise I'm not part of the Ali Sheikh fan club. I promise.
No, but
having said that,
you're absolutely spot on, because yesterday you noted that he was probably one of the best fielders in the USA cricket setup. And just from that effort alone, you can see running backwards is never an easy task. And he followed the ball all the way. A nice slide, pick up and throw all in one action. Really, really smooth from Ali Sheikh.
Right over the stumps. So 2 balls now remaining, 28 runs on the board. So a decent positive start here for the DCC Raiders Unlimited. Remember, they were put into bat. So consider that as you think about how this game is going. Through the offside, the aforementioned Ali Sheikh after it again. Oh, they're running on his arm. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's not far away. And they will think twice again about running on Ali Sheikh's arm because he, as you see, has a bullet throw that was very close.
Yeah, it's a risky run. Got through safely in the end. But certain feelers, as you can see, picked it up close to the boundary. And very close indeed. If he hit direct, I think that would have been gone.
That's gone by 2 feet if he hits. So, enterprising start as I mentioned. But as a batting pair, as you get together after the over and you have a little chat, 30 seconds or so, one of the points of conversation might be, maybe we don't want to take singles or try to turn ones into twos against this guy. Reverse sweep, appeal for leg before not given. Sushant Madani, again, being the more enterprising of the pair. A dot ball closes things out in over number 4, 30 without losses your score.
As you mentioned, that reverse sweep, so we have seen a couple of reverse sweeps not really executed properly in terms of getting proper connection off the bat. The paddle scoop that was played in the first over was successful, but apart from that, I think they have looked more confident and competent playing the natural cricket in strokes. So a few nice drives through the offside, and you just have to be wary in terms of how the pitch is playing at this point. So a bit of turn and purchase for the spinners. Pacers just varying their line and length, mixing up those slower deliveries, so batsmen have to be mindful.
So speaking of pacers, you will note that Imran Khan is now going to be bowling from the southern end of the ground. And I did just now what you captains do. I bent down, picked up a tuft of grass, threw it in the air. It's actually blowing in the opposite direction. Not much wind, but it's blowing in the opposite direction of where it was bowling yesterday. As you look at your screen, it's blowing from right to left on your screen. So what that means is that it will aid with the in swing for Imran Khan, and I'm wondering whether that's the reason why they switched him around. Played down to short, fine leg for a single to start over number 5.
So the batsman look a bit surprised with that delivery. Probably just held up in the pitch a bit. He was going through with a shot and just held back at the last moment, taking the inside edge of the bat, skimming down to the leg side area. Khan will want to come back strong. A bowler with his vast experience and knowledge of the game definitely be looking to get an early breakthrough for his team.
Tell you what, that's well defended. It appears as though the southern end of the ground is the end from which the pace bowlers would want to bowl, in addition to what I just mentioned about the wind. But the ball comes on really nicely to the bat from that end, it looks like.
And also to note the other end of the ground, the run-up is not as smooth for the pacers as is the side that Khan is bowling from now. Just a couple patches right before, as you can see where the keeper is on the screen to the left. You can see a couple patches there which might make it a bit difficult for the seamers.
And more to that point, if we can see that shot again from behind the keeper, right at that spot is where if the left-hander is running into bowl, he'd be bowling from around the wicket. If the right-hander is coming into bowl, he'd be bowling from over the wicket. And so for the right-handed pacers in particular, that would be a tricky position from which to bowl. As a bowler, obviously, you don't want your footing to be a concern as you're running into bowl. So that certainly would be something to consider. Slower delivery again. The formula is the same. Apparently from this end, you're mandated to bowl slower deliveries on ball number 4 of the over. This is good stuff.
Is it a coincidence or is it a strategy?
It would have to be coincidence. There's no way. Okay. I know that modern cricket, you have very specific plans and roles, and you're meticulous about what the game plan looks like. There's no way the game plan says on ball number 4 of this over, you have to bowl a slower ball. I refuse to believe that.
Agreed.
Slow ball again. Wanted a quick single, but not there. And again, that is to Ali Sheik's left. That is, again, the position from which he can hit directly, so you don't want to do that. 1 ball remaining here, 32 runs on the board. It's a good start in terms of the run rate, 6.86. In fact, after that dot ball, it is 6.62. Still, the projection of 132 feels like it would be below par given the start that they've had. Very full, and there is the drive over extra cover. That was beautiful. Did that go all the way? Yes, it did. Absolutely beautiful drive over the top of extra cover for 6.
It's a wonderful stroke. Ball running all the way up the hill. You can see just stepping back and across and given enough width. Got his foot in line with exactly where the ball went. Kept his head still and executed that shot to perfection.
Lovely looking shot. You nailed it. The width was the undoing of that delivery. The length, you don't necessarily mind that length, especially if you're expecting it to swing. But if you're starting it that far outside off, that's meat and drinks for Ian Singh Shahan. So, 38 after 5, 7.6 is your scoring rate. I calculated that in my head, but I just looked at the screen to make sure before I said it.
I have no doubts at all. Your financial mastery is certainly something to be in awe of.
Oh my God. So Asad Rafiq to continue. Left arm orthodox. This is the last over of the power play. So where do you have your 2 fielders outside? One is square leg and one is long off. So the same setup as before. Man at long off, Akhilesh Bodogam, I believe is who that is. And that goes straight to him. I may be wrong on that actually. That is Umeda Sif. My apologies. But the point I was about to make is that they're both very tall. Akhilesh 6'5" or so. I would give Umeda Sif at 6'4". But the point is, he's on the boundary if the ball goes in that direction. If it's not caught, it's not going to be because the fielder on the boundary wasn't tall enough.
And it's a good strategic field placement. Yesterday we saw a ball just go over the head of a fielder on the boundary rope, and he was not as tall as these guys. So.
Exactly. This one worked into the leg side, by the way. So I am contractually restricted to 1 mistake per day. And I've already made my 1 mistake. Yesterday, that was the whole Chandapal hemorrhage and Shanjai Surya thing.
The affiliation.
Yes. This time, Akhilesh Bodogam and Umeda Sif. Akhilesh Bodogam is actually on the batting side. So I don't think he'd be in the field. And Akhilesh, when you listen to this later, my apologies. Oh my goodness, knocks him over. It might be closer to the time for Akhilesh Bodogam to come and bat, because that's a huge swipe across the line for Sushant Madani, and he loses his off stump, 40 for 1.
Let's look at this delivery again here from Rafiq. Definitely drifting into the batsman. And that's a wonderful delivery from a left-arm orthodox. You would naturally expect that ball to turn away from the right-hander. And from the moment the delivery left his hand, you can see the trajectory was outside of off-stump. And due to the drift and also that breeze that you mentioned,
the drift is the entire story here. Look where this ball starts, and then look at that drift into Sushant Madani. So initially, as it was released, Madani's eyes would have lit up. You can generally judge the length, and so he was in position to play the slog sweep. But immediately, as the ball got closer to Madani, it drifted in. That is a beautiful piece of left-arm orthodox bowling, and defeating him with that delivery. That is a beautiful piece of work.
Well,
so,
what I like about it as well is that he put some flight and loop on the delivery, but also a decent amount of pace, because usually you might see drifters just going into the batsman but at a gentle speed. This one was certainly bowled with a bit more impetus, and that allowed the ball to reach through the batsman, because technically the shot he played would not have been wrong. If the ball was drifted into him and he was looking to hit to the leg side, by all means. But I think he was just beaten for a little bit of extra drift and pace of the ball itself.
Very interesting. So now the batter who is at the wicket, Sanjay Krishnamurthy, is the captain of the East Bay Blazers. They were in the minor league finals on Sunday afternoon in Dallas. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, not the captain here, but top order batter. Absolute brilliant. Going past the outside edge. What a beautiful ball for the first one that Sanjay Krishnamurthy faces. Goes right past him, pitches and straightens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the left arm orthodox bowler's dream. Angled in from around the wicket, pitching and straightening, going past the outside edge. What a great start. So the next delivery coming up shortly. In fact, 2 deliveries remaining in this over. This is played down the ground. Straight enough for Umeda Sif. Bobbles it, but eventually picks it up. So just a single there. Really good work. So as you see this man weaving a web, spinning a web, Asad Rafiq, going into the last delivery now of over number 6. What are your thoughts as to how well he's been able to pull things back here for the Night Riders?
I think it's very impressive because 1, he's bowling in the power play, 2, he's bowling spin, and 3, he's bowling on the side with the shortest straight back boundary.
Yes. Played off the back foot. That will run away down toward deep third. They'll get a couple. And so that is a brilliant over. That is the end of the power play. Asad Rafiq has made the breakthrough. 2 overs, 1 for 9. Excellent bowling for him. And the Night Riders United trying to mount a bit of a comeback. The DCC Raiders are off and running, but they've pulled things back here. The score is 4-3 for 1 at the end of the power play.
Well, given the benefit of the left arm spin that we have seen, I'm just wondering if now that the power play is over, we'll be seeing Ali Sheikh. And yes, I think that's him with the ball right by the umpire. So just
spoken like a true captain.
I mean, based on his bowling spell yesterday, he picked up 4 wickets. And in 1 over, he got 3 of those wickets. And the batsmen were all at sea. You know, he had great consistency, as we see a couple of our sponsors being mentioned there. Great Care Family Dentistry and Raheem. We also know Top Dollar Amusement and HRA. And we'd like to thank Tariq Real Estate as well for all of the wonderful contributions to allow this tournament to continue.
So the aforementioned Ali Sheikh, left arm orthodox, bowling to Sanjay Krishnamurthy. If you add the age of the bowler and the batter as that goes by and kisses the outside of off stump, and that is an unplayable delivery. Ali Sheikh with 1 finger pointed in the air because he just undid Sanjay Krishnamurthy with a Jaffer.
Well, we were just lauding his praises, Ali Sheikh, based on his performance yesterday. And what a start, Brian. What a first delivery from this young star in USA cricket. Look at the drift again and the angle.
The drift and the angle were both good, but the turn, that ball pitched from around the wicket on leg stump.
And then to hit between middle and up. That was crazy. So it just goes to show you, when you have left-hand spinners operating with such consistency, you can have them from both ends because there are 2 different styles of bowlers. At 1 delivery alone from Ali Sheikh, we have seen much more turn than the deliveries from Rafiq. But Rafiq, noticeably, is a bit quicker through the air and bowls more stump to stump. Sheikh here with all of his variations. My word, that was really a peach.
What I started to say was that if you added both their ages, Sanjay Krishnamurthy and Ali Sheikh, you probably get to 41, maybe. So 2 young stars who will be bowling and batting against each other for the next decade and a half, probably.
And that's an intense rivalry.
Oh my goodness. And the matchup this time lasted for all of 1 delivery. Naushad Sheikh, the first delivery, goes down and plays a sweep, conventional looking sweep, gets off the mark with a couple down to deep fine leg.
Again, confidence from the batter to play that shot after seeing your colleague just walk back from the first delivery, which was completely unplayable. It just shows his bravery there.
Unbelievable. So Naushad Sheikh in the minor league system plays for the Dallas X-Foria Giants. Generally a solid middle order bat, usually bats in the number 4, the number 5 position. batting at number 4 here today, as they've taken a couple of body blows. The DCC Raiders Unlimited. Ali Sheikh with a good start to his spell. 1 for 2 from 2 deliveries. And of course, outside of the power play, more protection in the deep sweeper on the offside, long on and long off. And this is the man who's at deep mid wicket coming in sprinting. So 4 outside and 5 inside. In fact, there's a deep square leg also. Matthew Trump is out. Matthew Trump is out there. So 5 outside, 4 inside. Not unexpected for a spinner.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be giving them any loose deliveries to try to reach towards that boundary area. From what we've seen thus far, they would have to be innovative and extremely attacking if they are going to score off of Ali Sheikh.
In the gap, and that will go away for 4. Saw a number of full tosses yesterday. This is the first one for the day, and Ian Dev Singh Chauhan cashes in on it.
Just as I was saying that he usually does not give away any loose deliveries, that one, a low full toss, and comfortable height enough for the batsman to play through that offside, and good execution of the shot, because Primus was back on the long off boundary, and he played it just enough distance wide of him to allow him to get that boundary, opening the face of the bat upon executing the shot.
So he's into the 20s now, Yandev Singh Chauhan, 23 from 15, 2 4s and a 6. Hasn't had much of the strike recently. Has been an afterthought, as much of an afterthought as you can be, with a strike rate of 153. 2 balls remaining here in over number 7. Low full toss, in fact, Yorker length delivery played to the captain, Nominal Ward, extra cover. So 1 ball remaining. By the way, that is now 50 runs on the board. Last ball coming up in over number 7. Off the back foot, good sound, but crashed into the deep. That is Asad Rafiq, who's on the boundary, cleans up. So good over. 1 loose delivery, but he does take a wicket. 8 runs come from the over. The score is 51 for 2.
Very good over there from Ali Sheikh. Wouldn't mind the boundary, especially getting a wicket off his first delivery. And I'm pretty sure they might look to continue with Asad Rafiq, or if not, and they're going to keep his 2 overs, they might look to Sahib Malhotra. You know that he also got 3 wickets yesterday. Both Malhotra and Sheikh were the pick of the bowlers for Knight Riders United.
So the argument against Sahib Malhotra would be that he's a right-hander turning the ball into the 2 right-handed batters. And the success that you've had so far with the lefties, you may want to keep that pressure on, knocking over and getting deeper into this batting lineup would certainly be one of the objectives.
Yep, that's why, rightfully so, they're continuing with Asad Rafiq. Has given no reason to really be taken off the ball. And he's bowled him. First delivery of his 3rd over, Asad Rafiq strikes, and I dare say that was a Yorker from the left-arm orthodox. He didn't really put any spin or anything else on that delivery except directly straight into the batsman's off stump and rooting it out of the ground.
Bang on target with the Yorker. Let's see if he gets any drift here. A little bit of drift. For me, the more impressive element of that was the length. That is pitching on the popping crease. He played all over it, Yandev Singh Chauhan, and he is unfortunately dismissed. 3 wickets are down now. And all of a sudden, dare we say that the DCC Raiders are in a spot of bother.
Yeah, I mean, given that delivery from Sheikh previously in the first over of his spell, and now the first delivery of Asad Rafiq's 3rd over, it seems as if they have a lucky streak. The first delivery of the over, they're going to get a wicket. But what I also like about that delivery, Brian, is the fact that he did give it air. It wasn't just a flat delivery. It wasn't just pushed through as a quicker one. But in fact, it seems akin to a dipper because the ball was released at a nice height, and probably the batsman thought that it would have just been looping there for him to play that shot, but instead dipped at the last moment and drifted in to completely take that off stump out of the ground.
This is an interesting matchup. Shubham Ranjane, major leaguer, star in the minor leagues, absolute for me the most dangerous weapon in the lineup against the man who's been the champion spinner so far for the DCC Raiders.
A bit of a stifled appeal there, but no interest from the umpire. Peter's just wondering if they might have a tickle off the bat.
Also no interest from the keeper, which, by the way, I like to see. As an umpire, you will respect a keeper more for not having appeal for that. You'll pay more attention to the next appeal that he actually does make.
It's all about the psychology of the game, right? A very valid point indeed. Perception. And that one's played straight down to the long off area. Has protection at long off and long on, so no harm. And just come through for a single.
So back to that point that I was just making. Every once in a while, I'll have the opportunity to, in Austin, be part of the selection for a youth tournament. And I don't do selection from on the sideline with a notepad. I do it standing as an umpire. And so, for example, one of the bowlers will hit a batter on the pads, and everybody appeals. Point, square leg, third man, everybody's appealing. And I'll stop the game and I say, why are you appealing? LBW. You are standing at square leg. How could you possibly know if it's LBW? And then I'll tell them, don't appeal unless you actually think it's out. The umpire will respect you more.
Yeah.
And it's a simple element. Yes, part of it is psychological, but the other part of it is the spirit of the game. Don't appeal just because you think the umpire might give it out. You should actually think it's going to be out before it's given.
Definitely agree. I know some players, their enthusiasm tends to get them a bit riled up. So once they see the keeper or the bowler go up, the entire chorus raises. It's played lovely through the offside, but again, just a single. So Asad Rafiq continuing with his excellent spell. Want to finish strong.
The ball is a little dry because he has that towel that he's using to dry the ball. I wonder if the ball is a little wet. There was a noticeable attempt to deal with the dew this morning. More so on field number 1, which is behind us, than this field. But there's, I would estimate at this point, a little bit less dew than there was this time yesterday.
Up in the air, and there's a fielder coming off the boundary at deep cover, and he takes a comfortable catch. Another breakthrough for Asad Rafiq. Gets his 3rd wicket. And at this stage, he has run through the top order for the DCC Raiders Unlimited.
Tossed up and inside out. He played with the turn from the standpoint of the ball turning away from him, but the ball was not quite there for that shot. And he ends up skying it. Actually hit it cleanly, but it goes straight up in the air. And that man coming off the ropes at deep cover takes a pretty straightforward catch. And they slip further into the muck here. The DCC Raiders Unlimited. End of 8:54 for 4.
I think he might have been better served going straight, because we saw that delivery was just going on around that off and middle stump line. And because he tried to open the face, didn't get the proper connection. If he probably went straight back behind the bowler's head, I think he might have gotten the best purchase. And also knowing that it's the shortest boundary, it would have been easier for him to capitalize.
And further to that point, noting that it was Matthew Trump who was on the boundary, who is not the height of Umeda Sif. You could possibly have cleared him. So all of those elements, so much to think about, but the end result is that 4 wickets are down. After a really good start, the first wicket fell at 40. But since then, they've lost 14 for 3 more. They've lost 3 more for 14 is what I'm struggling to say.
It's totally fine.
Eventually going to get it all out. And you mentioned him earlier. Here he is. Sahib Malhotra.
Picked up 3 wickets yesterday. Had an excellent spell. Just went on around 4 runs per over in terms of his economy. So he looked to continue in that vein.
Did he bowl a little bit of a leg break there?
So we saw him warming up with 2 leg break deliveries. But what we noticed that was so impressive about him yesterday, Brian, is that he has both the leg break and the off break in his arsenal with a very similar run-up. It's just at the last moment he either rounds his hand for the leg break or just keeps it straight and flicks it for the off break. Subtle variations.
Saeed Malhotra, the brother of Jaskaran Malhotra. Jaskaran probably more well known, but Jaskaran played as a wicketkeeper batter, bowled very little. I probably can count on one hand the number of overs I've seen him bowl in a match. But we were warming up one day and he was bowling to me and I was, playing keeper. And he was bowling and turning it square both ways, either with an off break or a leg break. So assuming that his brother is at minimum as good as that explains why he's able to do both.
And that's a good delivery. Played into the offside. No runs. Just wants to reach into that area, encouraging the batsman to come forward, but not too full, so that he would allow the pitch and the turn to work to his benefit. Does have a first slip in place, and we're just seeing the captain making some feeding adjustments. So in fact, he's brought the fielder from short fine leg into the point region and just shifted that point fielder to a wideish third man. And you can see why, because he's keeping that line outside the off stump and the ball turning away from the right hander, encouraging him to play into that part of the field. And there's a misfield. A poor throw to the keeper, and while he stands up admonishing the fielder, the batsman were looking to go through for another one. Your thoughts on that, Brian? Comedy of errors?
So yeah, you collect the ball first before you start complaining, and Lahiri Mulanta has every reason to be irritated, but he sort of forgot that yes, the ball is still live. let's control it first before we start admonishing anyone.
And that's well bowled. Played to the fielder, a short point, and just to add to that, one of the reasons why the throw was being admonished from the keeper is because he was pointing to the artificial strip on the right of your screen. And in fact, the ball bounced there, which led to it being awkward for him to collect. And the captain was just saying, throw it to the gloves, which is something that they teach you from the first day in cricket school. And that one was just played down to long on. Bit short, but rushed the batsman, so he wasn't able to plant and launch it over the ropes, but brings a tidy over to an end from Malhotra. 4 runs conceded off of it. At the end of 9, score 58 for the loss of 4.
So going back to the Malhotra family, and you and I talked about this before the game started, but Jaskaran Malhotra, who recently announced his retirement from playing for the USA, served the USA for a number of years as a wicketkeeper batter, as I mentioned. One of a handful of men to have ever hit 6 sixes in an international cricket match. So if you ask who are the men who have done that, usually people's first guess is Gary Sobers, or maybe, let me be more respectful, the Right Honorable Sir Garfield St. Auburn Sobers.
Yes.
But he did that, if I remember correctly, in around 1966, but it was in a county match in England, not an international match. The men who did it in an international match would include Yuvraj Singh. It would include Herschel Gibbs in the World Cup 2007, if I remember correctly. It would include, of course, Jaskaran. It would also include Kieran Pollard. You've probably seen him once or twice. And the 5th name, I cannot remember. It happened in an associates match not too long ago, probably about 3 months ago. I remember Jaskaran Malhotra posting on Twitter when that happened, tagging him and saying, "Welcome to the club," which was pretty awesome to hear. In the meantime, now we're into over number 10, and this is going to be the last over bowled by Asad Rafiq. 3.1 overs, 3 for 13. Brilliant spell from him so far. Good delivery, bang on target. Quick single taken on the infield. Is that going to be a run out? It is a run out. Oh my goodness. So the throw came in from short cover, took off sprinting. I don't know that there was a run there necessarily, but they decided to take on the arm of that fielder in the covers. The underarm throw was offline. Look at this replay. Played into the covers. The underarm throw was offline, but look at Lahiri Malanta, the keeper. Athletic, reaching over to his left and then completing the run out. Umpire Judson Edwards saw all that he needed to see to decide that this one was, the stumps were disturbed before the batter got to that end. So that is a dismissal, and he will not be very happy with that. That is actually Sidesh Patari, who we did not announce when he came in. Apologies, Sidesh. And 5 wickets are down for 58.
Even though Rafiq didn't get that wicket added to his column, his tight bowling has contributed to it, because the batsmen are wary of the fact that they are not able to score freely off of him, and thus allowing them to try to run for that quick single, but miscommunication leading to that dismissal in the end.
Good luck pronouncing that name.
So, just to give you the information, Darius Visse hit 6 sixes in a single over against Vanuatu. And in fact, he scored 132 runs off 62 balls in that game. The over was, in fact, worth a record 39 runs. So, he would have been one of the other players to hit 6 sixes in an international game. That was in a T20 World Cup regional qualifier.
Unbelievable stuff here. That was a Yorker similar to the one that clean bowled. Who was it who he bowled? Was that Sushant Madani? I believe it was. Yes, it was. And you will see here that with 3 balls remaining in his spell, Asad Rafiq is absolutely spinning a gem. Similar delivery again, by the way. The new batter is Harish Kakani. Shubham Ranjan at the non-strikers and 3 from 5. Watch him. He will be the difference between 125 and 150.
Well, at this stage, 59 for 5, approaching the halfway stage of the innings. I think he just has to do a bit of rebuilding first and get himself in for a couple overs. Oh, it's a beauty of a delivery from Rafiq. That is really and truly a left-armer's dream. Flight, turn, beating the outside edge of the bat. The only thing it missed was just clipping the edge. If we had a snicko, hopefully, there might have been a noise for the fielding team's delight. But clearly, the umpire had the best view, and there was nothing on edge. The keeper and all didn't appeal, but know that it was close.
They say sometimes that he's not a good enough batter to get an edge on that. That ball turned, gripped, spun away viciously. What a spell for Asad Rafiq. End of his spell, 3 for 13. If we throw in the run out, at least give him half credit for that. Call it 3.5 for 13. Halfway through the innings, the score is 59 for 5. Quick look at, as we say, the Manhattan. Note that when the spinners came on, the building started getting lower and lower, including that last one where only 1 run was scored. Amazingly, the last 5 overs have only yielded 21 runs.
And they started going on around 8 runs per over. So it just shows you the impact that these left-arm spinners have had. As Malhotra is set to continue.
Very interesting here. Athletic piece of work by Sahib Malhotra, but not even he can get that one from going by. So he's starting now the second half of the innings. Bowled 1 over, already conceded 4 runs, 5 now with that single. And so the left arm spinners, Ali Sheikh has bowled 1 over. Asad Rafiq is bowled out. you know that Shubham Ranjan is there. He can score big. Sushant Madani has been dismissed. Pace ball is still to come. But the point I'm trying to make, / the question I'm trying to ask you, is if you are Shubham Ranjane, you are a major leaguer, you score heavily. You scored heavily last week in the tournament or a couple weeks ago. At what point do you ask yourself, you know what, it may be time to start putting the foot on the gas here?
I would give myself a couple overs just to get my eye in and get acclimatized to the pitch. Given some of the dismissals we have seen, it's really difficult to go out there and start hitting the ball aggressively from ball one. So I think he just has to get accustomed to the timing, and once he can get a couple of those balls off the middle of the bat, then by all means he can go through.
So played down the ground to the imposing figure of Rashawn Primus at long off. So 3 singles. You're turning the scorecard over, which is what you like to see. So even while you're getting settled and let's say you're putting yourself in the position for a charge later on, you're still scoring. Those 3 singles, I think, are very important, and they add up to more than the 3 runs that they added to the scoreboard, if that makes sense.
Of course, and that's one of the most sensible things to do at this stage, especially when you're new to the crease. You get your eye in and you just play that ball into the gaps or play with soft hands, and then you're able to get those singles, rotate the strike. And also, it makes it difficult for the bowler because he's bowling good deliveries, yet still runs are being scored. So that would play with his psyche.
We talked about that yesterday. Oh my goodness, he chopped on. That is a big wicket. How big a wicket is this? That is Shubham Ranjan. We were just talking about 5 from 7, getting himself settled, looking for the launch later on. But he manages to chop one onto his stumps, 63 for 6.
Captain has to go, and he's trying to cut that one, but I'm just wondering if the height of the delivery, and you can see that Malhotra is a tall guy, it actually spun a long way, and it hit the bottom edge of the bat. You can see he just kicked a bit of loose dust there on the turf in dismay because he was very disappointed with that dismissal. And as he was walking out of the picture of your screen, umpire just had a gentle word with him to remind him that, it's not the best way to react after a dismissal. However, you can understand his disappointment there, Brian.
Sohail Khan has bowled 2 overs. Imran Khan has bowled 2 overs. Umayyad Asif is on the field, has not yet bowled. The moral of the story is this is a spinner's wicket, and there is so much turn. That last delivery, we didn't see it live, but looking at the replay, it turned square. And so, especially given that Sahib Malhotra can turn it in both directions, but here he turns it away from the right-hander, which is what you'd expect. That's the same advantage to having a left-hander bowl to you, left-arm orthodox. So all of a sudden, you are 6 down with 63 on the board. The new batter is going to be Abhayendra Singh. Good delivery outside off. Note the man who is at slip. That is the captain, Naman Anwar. Won't be needed anymore for the rest of this over. But what a brilliant over that time from Saeed Malhotra. Second over, in fact, 2 overs in the books for him. 1 for 8. The score is 63 for 6.
And I think we might be seeing a change of ends here for Ali Sheikh, given the fact that Asar Rafiq has finished his spell from this end. Right on cue, you see Sheikh being given the ball. It makes complete logical sense as the left-hand orthodox receives so much of purchase, and also he was just keeping the stronghold on the batsman. He just replaced one with another, and somebody with the caliber of Sheikh, as you mentioned.
Oh my goodness. So Ali Sheikh generally bowls arm balls, generally doesn't turn it much on the average wicket, but this wicket is turning it a lot. He may get a wicket here. Naman Anwar is under it, takes it easily. 1 delivery, 1 wicket there, 63 for 7.
Ali Sheikh continuing in the same vein that his first over began. Yes. A wicket off of the first delivery. And again, we sometimes look to coincidence, maybe just divine intervention. But whatever it may be, the cricketing gods have smiled upon Ali Sheikh today. And a comfortable catch taken in by the captain. Never easy when that ball is skied up high, and especially with this brilliant sunshine we have over our heads here.
I think it was about 24 hours ago that I said cricket is not played on paper, it's played on the field. Before the game, okay, I won't say we because this wasn't you, this was all me. I said that this is a much stronger team on paper than the team that they played yesterday. I think it was Carolina Smashers. They dragged and kicked and clawed their way, screaming to 129 runs. At this stage, you would say which is more likely, for you to get to the projected score of 113 or for you to be bowled out before 20 overs. It is actually more likely now that they'd be bowled out. Rushil Garkar, who's the new batter, young man, but he's a pace bowler. This may be the first time I've ever seen him bat, come to think of it. He's a brilliant young pace bowler. Was on the championship team for the Dallas Mustangs at the end of the minor league season last year. This year played in the finals for the East Bay Blazers, lost that match. But again, I've never seen him bat.
Well, we are both excited to see what he has to offer, because he certainly has a lot of balls remaining in the innings.
Yes.
After this over is completed. Still 8 overs remain. Looks a bit nervous, but gets off the mark.
Ooh. Okay, so here's a question for you. As you saw in that replay, or hopefully we'll see on the replay, Rushil Garkar going to the non-strikers and jumped over the error or the throw that was coming from mid-on. Look at this pick up and a throw. He's in the air. If that hits, he may well be out. Played off the front foot this time. Good looking defensive shot, but there's a lot of work to be done here for Abhinder Singh and Rushil Garkar. But back to that real quickly. The natural reaction is to jump to avoid the ball, but sometimes you have to wear one for your team, because if you're in the air when the stumps are hit, you would look really, really silly. Was that an outside edge? Was, in fact, the reaction from Lahiri Malantha says, yes, it was an outside edge. Oh.
It's either he got a faint edge or it passed so dangerously close to the top of off stump. You can see. Look at this angle, yes. And the ball straightening. Oh, missed the bat, but just passed by. I would say that's less than an inch over the top of off stump, right?
What an over for Ali Sheikh. 2 overs in the books, 2 for 9 for him. The DCC Raiders Unlimited are 64 for 7.
And just to touch on that delivery before Malhotra continues, you saw the difference in his action, as in he pulled his hand completely across his body. And that's a technique that a lot of spinners use these days. Sometimes they release from the top, sometimes they come from the side, and it just varies that angle to the batsman.
Wow. Watch first slip. Now Manan Ward thinks he's in with a shout. Rushil Garkar was a little bit unsure about where that one was turning. Goodness. This is scintillating stuff if you like spinners or like seeing spinners in action. Works this one into the mid-wicket area. They do not look for the second run there. But the job here for Rushil Garkar and Abhinder Singh is what, in your view?
I would say a bit of rebuilding, if possible, because in fairness to the batsmen, they are new to the crease and the bowlers are really keeping it tight. So my first aim would be bat the 20 overs. Get to the end of 20 and runs will come. You will get more runs added to the scorecard. I'm not sure if that shot is reflective of wanting to bat to the end of 20, but sometimes, as with all your vast experience, Brian, you would know in cricket, you have to pay respect when bowlers are bowling well on pitches that are accommodating them, and you play the game to suit.
Looking to sweep this one. Umpire Judson Edwards has a good look, but immediately shakes his head no. Let's see what we can pick up on this delivery here. Boy, I'll tell you what, he is turning this ball a mile. That may have pitched outside the line of leg stump. That angle from over the wicket, he's actually bowling very wide of the crease. Look, starting that run up from a 45-degree angle, if you can see there. He's very difficult to play. Looking to go off the back foot again. Abhinder Singh not able to get anything on it. So they're weaving a web, these two champion spinners. Last ball coming up here in over number 13. 65 for 7 is your score. The projected score as of right now is 101. Not a lot of games that you'll win scoring 101. Goes for the big swipe again. Another dot ball. That is the end of the over. 1 run came from that over. Mr. Bahadur Singh. 11 runs have come from the last 5 overs.
And the run rate has dropped to under 6. So it's exactly 5 runs per over at this stage. I would say, in fairness, if they can maintain that 5 runs and over and get to at least 100 at the end of their 20, it's a score that you can possibly pose a challenge. Granted, it's not the ideal score you would want.
Sure.
But again, posting a total on this pitch, which we know would play the same for both teams, and I'm sure they have some competent bowlers in their arsenal as well.
I was about to go right there immediately after this. Let's see what Ali Sheikh does with that first ball, and then we'll talk about that. He took a wicket with the first ball of each of his overs. Does he do the same thing again here? Bowling to Rushil Garkar. Solid in defense, no run. The bowlers, when the DCC Raiders come to bat, they have in their lineup Sushant Madani can bowl off spin. He's not a frontline bowler, but he can bowl. Sidesh Patare generally bowls cutters, not pace, but he can move it a little bit, so he may be helped by this kind of wickets. Listen to these next couple of names. Akhilesh Bodagam, 6'5", off spinner, generally opens bowling during the power play. A man you may have heard of before, Danish Kaneria.
Impact player.
Impact player. He's played a game or two here and there.
I think so. Sounds familiar.
Shopped on. He may be coming into action late or sooner than realized, because I'll tell you what, this matchup again between the two youngsters, Ali Sheikh and Rushil Garkar, coming out on top yet again is Ali Sheikh. 8 wickets are down.
So he tried to chip down the wicket and seems to have cramped his own self for room. I'm just trying to figure out, because that delivery was outside the line of the off stump, and because he had advanced on the wicket, as you see here, he in fact tried to just dab it into the offside and got a bottom edge onto his stumps. If he stayed in his crease, now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with advancing,
Sure.
but sometimes it's wise to not premeditate and just play the ball on its merit. That one, if he stayed in his crease, would have been an easy cut shot through the offside.
So we kind of touched on that yesterday. If the ball is tossed up and you have time and you think, okay, I can go forward and I can get to the pitch here and go over the top, that's generally, in this situation, that's when I'd want to use my feet. If you premeditate and go down the pitch and then play awkwardly, fending at an angle, that generally puts you in the position where you're at the mercy of what the ball does after it kisses off the edge of the bat, assuming it touches the bat at all.
Of course.
So we've called this man's name a couple of times already, Akhilesh Bodagam. Come to think of it, I don't know that I've ever seen him bat. So we're certainly at the bottom of the batting lineup. 8 wickets down, 65 for 8 is your score, and Ali Sheikh is, along with all the other spinners, on a rampage. Played into the offside, and Akhilesh Bodagam is a relatively old man as compared to the others. He's around 24, if I remember correctly.
And imagine if that's considered old. I just wonder what's the average age of all of these youngsters. Makes me feel ancient.
Goodness. Oh, don't even talk about me. Oh, look at the bounce on that. Where did that come from? Was that another round arm delivery?
Also the turn.
Ooh.
One just zipped away. But yes, you are right. His action, again, was a round arm, just pulling that ball completely across his body. You see the difference in that delivery there. Still keeping it a bit straighter.
My
and
goodness.
looping it.
We just saw a wicket maiden. A wicket maiden in over number 14. The last 5 overs have yielded 7 runs. No, I'm sorry. 7 came from that over. No, sorry. No, I was right the first time. The last 5 overs have yielded 7 runs.
And on this stage, Ali Sheikh, I think he's trying to go one up on his own figures from yesterday. 3 for 9 already. Got 4 wickets yesterday. And knowing his capabilities, he has 1 more over. Is it possible that he can try to get 5? Provided that his colleague doesn't get any in this over. That has to be the caveat. But 2 wickets remain in the innings. And both Malhotra and Sheikh has 1 over left. Then Sohail Khan and Imran Khan, they both have 2 overs left. I'm sure they might come back to just, fire some pace towards these tailenders. I'm sure as a fast bowler yourself, you'll be licking your lips at this opportunity, watching the captain and just signaling, give me the ball, Skip.
I've played in games that's played straight down the ground for a single. I've played in games where the spinners were on top. Or, the captain looked ahead of time and looked at the pitch and said, you know what, this is a spinner's wicket. So, Brian, I'm going to start with the spinners. And, as a teammate, you say, oh, absolutely, Skip. And in your mind, you're like, I want to bowl. So you absolutely want to bowl. But while we pace bowlers can be very selfish sometimes, what's best for the team is you have every bit of spin that you can get absolutely taken advantage of here, because the spinners are going to be who turns the game in this situation. So
I'm glad you mentioned that point, because just to pick your brain,
Yeah.
in test matches these days, you see spinners bowling sometimes 30, 40 overs, and then you look at the Pacers column, and it's just on around 10. So it's in the air, but not in the direction that he wanted it to go, and
Sure.
a mistimed paddle sweep. So as a pace bowler, how do you feel in those instances? I mean, granted, if the pitch favors spin, by all means, they should get the majority.
Sure.
But in terms of you're picked as a fast bowler, you're batting 11,
Right,
and you bowl
right.
5 or 6 overs in an entire innings.
Sure. Now, with the stipulation that I've never played in the test match, let's start there. Big swipe and a miss. But there's 2 elements. One element is you want to be bowling, and you want to take that 25 or 30-yard run up and come in with all guns blazing. The other element is that fast bowling is hard work. And so you talk about tests. In a test match, let's say 90 overs are bowled in one day. Probably if you're a pace bowler, you would have bowled no more than, say, 15 to 20 of those overs. While if you're a spinner, yes, you absolutely can go as long as you need to. You can bowl as a spinner unchanged through an entire session. So the flip side is balancing the stress that comes from being a fast bowler with the ability to take wickets as a spinner. Sky down the throat. Ali Sheikh never in a million years is going to drop that. Ali Sheikh, maybe he could have. I just dropped that. And give
I was
yourself
waiting for you, Brian. I was just waiting for you.
give yourself a chance to take 5. That would be hilarious if that happened.
I think it just shows what a great team player Ali Sheikh is, because that ball was hit high in the air down to the long on reach, and everyone was just looking to see where it would have landed. And from the moment they saw Ali Sheikh was the fielder was going towards, I think the fielders already started to celebrate, because I think he prides himself on being such a complete cricketer that
Yes.
he's not even studying his personal wickets.
Exactly.
He wants the team to win, and of course his excellent fielding skills, they have to be continuously on display. If he dropped that, no
Right.
matter for what reason, I think he would have been more disappointed himself than any of the wickets that he got.
I would agree with you. So I won't say the 2 teams that were playing. This happened last week in the minor league playoffs. A batter who came in number 3, he was, if I remember correctly, a 50 strike rate. Maybe he was, say, 10 from 5, or 5 from 10, or whatever, 10 from 20. But he was eating up a lot of deliveries and not scoring. And the batter who was coming in next was fully expected to be able to accelerate the scoring rate. Return catch went up to the bowler, went straight up in the air. Literally, he does this and does not even touch it. Literally does not touch it. And we said on the air, yeah, he dropped that on purpose because he does not want this guy who is eating up a lot of deliveries to be dismissed. He wants him to stay there. And again, if Ali Sheikh was not a team player, he may well have thought about dropping that, but he does not get a 5 for today through no fault. In fact, through his own fault.
Well, by all means, he has 4 deliveries left in this over. 3 deliveries now after that one. So he's going to look to see if he can wrap up this innings here, pick up a wicket within these next couple of deliveries. And this one is hoisted behind the head of the fielder at mid-on. He was actually brought in from long on because they were trying to just play some pressure. But that's the first aggressive stroke we have been seen played off of the bowling of Ali Sheikh.
That wrong arm delivery again down the ground. This is Umar Farouk, who hits it. Not the most technically correct shot, but you'll take any runs at this stage that you can get.
The irony is, if the fielder was still back at long on, it would have been straight down his throat.
Yes.
And the most comfortable catch he could have had.
Yes.
So just waiting to see if, and now Sheikh is signaling, stay back on the boundary. I think there's no harm in that.
Absolutely.
You see, with the fielder inside, Bri, and another picture of the delivery there. Once the fielder's in the circle, a tail ender, he's only going to go aggressively. He only knows how to play one way. So I think it's better to leave the single as an option if he needs.
Uh-huh.
And this one is again on target. So it finishes a very tidy and effective spell from Ali Sheikh. 4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 wickets for 14 runs, economy of 3.5. And similar to yesterday, also had a maiden and he got 4 wickets. So that carries his tally to 7 wickets in just 2 games. And definitely one of the leading forefront bowlers for the Knight Riders United, as well as in the tournament itself.
My goodness. The spinners as a group have done excellently. And look at this. It is Naman Anwar who's going to bowl because, you know what? As well as the spinners have done so far, we don't need to go back to pace. Naman Anwar is actually a decent spinner. He can bowl both off spin and leg spin. I suspect he'll be bowling leg spin here.
The first one seems to be an off-break delivery, tucked off the legs, but straight to the field, that short fine leg for no run. I think he's also mindful of the fact that if the pacers do come back and any errant delivery or any fine edge or tickle, they can run away to the boundary quickly. By this method, he's ensuring that they're not able to score freely, and get through the overs quickly as well. Keep that pressure on the batsman. 3 overs remain after the completion of the 17th. Anwar is already back at his mark. Turn, bonks, up in the air, and comfortable catch for the fielder coming off the mid-wicket boundary. You said it, Brian. I must say, I have to, do some analysis on your future telling and story predictions because they always seem to be accurate. Anwar gets a wicket, and you called it.
The thing is this. The spinners have done all of the work that was needed to be done. 72 all out tells you, and we've seen several deliveries that have turned tremendously. It tells you it's a spinner's wicket. It tells you that if you have spinners or somebody who can turn their arm over, you don't need to go back to pace because all you need to do is just put some revs on the ball and have it land somewhere on the square. You'll probably find success. Boy, what an absolutely brilliant day with the ball for the Knight Riders United. Look at this scorecard. 24 from 18 for Yandev Singh Chauhan. Sushant Madani, 20 from 20. The next highest score is 5 from Shubham Ranjane. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
throw in 3 extras that were 3 buys, and you cannot bowl a better innings than this.
Yeah, really and truly, it was not the most ideal batting performance from this team. And on the bowling scorecard, we know that Knight Riders United were very exemplary. The Pacers started off a bit expensive. We know that the economy for Sohail Khan 7 and Imran Khan 8.5. But in contrast, when you take a look at the spinners, Asad Rafiq, 4 overs, 3 wickets for 13, economy of 3.25. Ali Sheikh, 4 overs, 1 maiden, 3 wickets for 14, economy of 3.5. And Sahib Malhotra, 4 overs, 2 wickets for 14, 2.75 economy. And what about the economy of Norman Anwar? 3 deliveries, 3 dots, and 1 wicket.
Economy rate of 0.
One would think that he's an accomplished bowler by that fact. And as you rightfully said, he used his intelligence as a captain to put himself in that scenario. So, what are your thoughts on the potential run chase?
Okay. All the usual qualifiers aside, cricket is a game that is played on the field. All you need is 10 good balls. All of that aside, this match, I would think, would be finished in over number 12. Because you do have a former international bowler of great repute, Danish Canaria. My suspicion is that they'd bring him in as an impact player. The other bowlers are not exactly without the ability to bowl. Akhilesh Bodagam, I mentioned him earlier. Sushant Madani can bowl spin. I did not mention him earlier when I was talking. Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who is the captain of the East Bay Blazers, left arm orthodox. So he can be a like-for-like switch for either Ali Sheikh or for Asad Rafiq. Very effective. On this wicket, he will get purchase, he will get assistance. So it's not all over yet. My suspicion is, after having seen the way that the ball was turning, the Knight Riders United will come out not aggressively. They'll come out positively, but not taking any chances. To me, that says the game gets at least to over number 10 before we see a result.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And with the target being 73 in 20 overs, just under 4 runs per over, if they do get it in the 12th over, it's literally just a runner ball that they will be going at. And I'm sure these batsmen, after their performance yesterday, some of them might probably use this as a bit of an opportunity to get experience in the middle as well. Noting the fact that the pitches are not the easiest to bat on and they have other games upcoming in the tournament, there's no harm in getting yourself into a bit of form and just playing with some confidence and stroking around the deliveries. To me, an ideal finish for Knight Riders United would be if they can get the score without losing any wicket and their opening pair can just bat smartly and bring it home.
Last thing, Norman Anwar will be one of the opening batters. Dismissed third ball yesterday without opening his account. Scored as many runs as you and me. He will be motivated to not have that happen again. And if it means he puts away the aggressive game and bats long, that's what it means. But interesting times ahead.
Definitely, and we look forward to bringing you coverage of that run chase in just a couple of minutes. So while the players just have a change around, we'll take a short break and get back to you shortly. Modest total in the first innings from the DCC Raiders Unlimited. 72 all out in 16.3 overs. And I'm sure the Knight Riders United would want to get to this target without losing any wicket or too many, as we see the first delivery.
Turn down the leg side again. That first delivery bowled by Sanjay Krishnamurthy, left arm orthodox. I know that your screen says Akhilesh Bodhagam. That's not accurate. And now they change it. As soon as I said that, they made the change. And so dot ball to start with here. You saw what the left arm orthodox bowlers did in the first innings. And a lot of work to be done. And by the way, that ball went to a short fine leg. The fielder there is Danish Ganaria.
So rightfully, as you called it, Danish Canaria.
Hopefully I'm saying his name right. Well, you're probably saying it right. I know I'm tearing it up.
We'll confirm with him after the game, but legendary player from Pakistan coming in as an impact sub.
Oh my goodness, in the air, wide of Rashil Agarkar at deep mid wicket, and the first four of the day, Naman Anwar is off the mark. He'll be happy with that because he failed with the bat yesterday, scored again as many as you and I did. Keshav gets up to the mark here with a 4.
Both these batsmen, they definitely want to take this opportunity to get some confidence in the wicket. That ball didn't really get any turn off the surface. It just pitched and stood up to be hit. And some quick feet movement from Anwar allowed him to pull that one over the leg side for a comfortable boundary.
Right, this one off the back foot. Rashil Agarkar, the young pace bowler, we talked about him earlier. And comfortably working it. You said earlier that you would want for them to chase this target without losing any wickets. Say more about that.
The reason why I suggested that is given the innings we saw from Knight Riders United yesterday, they made 129 in their 20 overs, and it was a bit of a stop-start. Apart from the innings from Trump, who top scored with 50-odd, everyone else was just on or around 20 for a couple batsmen. And apart from that, a few of the batsmen were under 10. So I think the main goal here would be to get some momentum flowing for their opening pair, and that would just augur well for the rest of the batting lineup, who can come in with less pressure on their shoulders.
Oh, in the air and goes all the way for 6, did it? No, it did not. Landed just inside, but Sanjay Krishnamurthy dropped short twice in this first over, and he was punished both times. End of over number 1, 9 without loss.
One of the main differences that we are seeing in the bowling from Krishnamurthy compared to that of Ali Sheikh in the previous innings is that he's not really getting much purchase off of the surface. Granted, it's a new ball, it's the first over, but we did see the new ball turning from the spinners from Knight Riders United.
It's interesting because Sanjay Krishnamurthy often bowls with the new ball. In fact, in last week's tournament, the minor league championship that I keep talking about, he opened the bowling in at least 2 of those matches. And continuing with the examination by spin is the man whose name I've called a number of times already. Akhilesh Bodhagam will be bowling from the southern end of the ground. The right-hander bowling to the right-handed power hitter Naman Anwar. So this is an interesting matchup. But the strength of Akhilesh Bodhagam, from his height, 6'5", is the ability to generate awkward bounce, and generally he's bang on target with his length. Ooh! I am the master of the jinx.
I was now going to say, Brian, there's a saying called comment on very nicely.
And just to clarify, that was a full toss above waist height, so it was a no ball. And 6, and this is a free hit. And that's 6 more. Oh my goodness, this is all going wrong for Akhilesh Bodhagam. 1 legal delivery, 13 runs scored.
Now, I know that he's familiar opening the bowling. However, these are 2 very experienced batsmen at the crease, and it's a bit too full for Anwar to trouble him. The first delivery, granted, a no ball full toss. The second one right up into the arc and just allowed him to play that ball. It seemed very simple. In fact, he didn't put much power behind it. Just a natural stroke for 6 down to that long on area.
I said that Naman Anwar is a power hitter, and he is an absolutely powerfully built young man. Not very big physically but very muscular. And not only is he a big hitting all rounder as you see here, that is six more. He's a major league player. Plays, if I remember correctly, for the Seattle Orcas. So we're not talking about an ordinary player here, and he's taking Achilles Bodogum apart.
I'm just amazed at the ease and the comfort at which Anwar is playing these shots. Look at that. Just swatted away as if there was a fly in front of him and the fly was the ball and he had the bat as one of those rackets. As it reached, he just used his wrist and powerfully swatted that for six.
Ooh, swipe and a miss. Maybe that one kept a little bit low. Imagine, after 9 deliveries of this innings, you are 38% of the way to the target in terms of the runs that you need. So all that talk about batting through over number 10 and all that may be a thing of the past, as that's 4 more. He's absolutely on a rampage here, the captain. 4 deliveries make that 2 deliveries remaining here in over number 2, but he is already, Naman Anwar, up to 23. Make that 27 from 10 with 2 4s and 3 6s. And Achilles Bodogum is being made to look very ordinary here.
One thing for certain, Brian, is that Anwar is in no mood to mess around. He's playing all of the shots once the ball is there.
Oh my goodness.
And right on cue.
Finished. You have got to be kidding me. Once again, Achilles Bodogum is a high-quality spinner. He played for the Washington Freedom in the major leagues. He is not an ordinary bowler, but here he is absolutely taken apart.
Again, a bit too full. And Anwar played at least 3 or 4 shots in that same area, same direction. Couple went for 6s and then a couple for 4s. But it just goes to show you, if that's his strength, I think Bodogum might be better off serving those deliveries just wide outside of the off stump, probably trying to make him hit through the offside rather than bowling into his pads where he's very comfortable on the leg side.
2 overs into the chase. They are 52% of the way to the target in terms of runs. So, spin has gone awry. First over for Sanjay Krishnamurthy went for 9. Second over went for 29. So, Captain Shubham Ranjane wants to do something different here. So, I've mentioned him a couple of times. We've gone to the pace bowling of young Rushil Ugarkar. Boy, that went pear-shaped in a hurry.
Well, I know we were both wondering whether they were going to start aggressively or whether they were just going to take their time and, you know, probably knock around a couple singles before they reach to this aggressive mode. But guns are blazing out here in Atlanta.
Right on fastball immediately starting out around the wicket to the left-handed Lahiri Malantha. Swipe and a miss for no run, but boy, fireworks in over number 2. And already you've had 2 6s and 3 4s. Make that 4 6s and 2 4s, my apologies. But they're absolutely off to the races here. Nat Riders Unlimited. Played off the back foot. There's work to do in the deep. A diving attempt. He does well enough to stop it. And it does not go for 4. There's Sanjay Krishnamurthy out there, the youngster, who's very quick across the ground and saves 2 runs for his side.
And just using the pace of the delivery, opening the face of the bat and guiding it down to that vacant region for a comfortable 2. So the pacer has not done too bad, just a couple of deliveries into his over, but I'm sure his main goal would be not to concede any boundary. Keep a tight line and length and force the batsman to play.
So watch Rushil Ugarkar's front foot. Oh, shy at the stumps. Do they get 4 overthrows here? They'll get 1 overthrow. So watch Rushil Ugarkar, his front foot, his plant foot. If we can get a close up of it, the toe area is cut out completely, such that, you know, when you plant your front foot, there's pressure that goes into that, and sometimes you can irritate an injury to your toe by continually planting. Of course, as a fast bowler, you're running through the crease with pace. So he has cut out a nice big, probably a 3x3 size hole in his front foot on his shoe. If we can get a shot of that, it's interesting to watch. So my question to you, sir, oh, I could have gone anywhere, almost chopped it on. A good pair of cricket bowling shoes costs, I don't know, 150 US probably.
Good is such a relative term because it all depends on the personal preference of the player.
This is true.
Some people like to have certain brands. Some people prefer comfort. And again, even a simple factor as the shape of your foot is all depends on the type of shoe you choose.
Interesting, because I want to think about that for a second. If you're a spinner or if you're a batter, essentially you can wear the regulation shoes. Okay, there we go. There's a good look at it. Look at his left foot, that is his plant foot, and we should get a good look at it right there. So that shows you what his front foot is and what adjustments he's made to it. But as I started saying, if you're some position other than a fast bowler, you can get away with wearing shoes that are less than ideal. But the amount of shock that goes into your foot when you plant as a fast bowler, you really do need a solid pair of shoes. You'll even see some fast bowlers wear those high top shoes, which
With the strap coming over the ankle, yeah.
Somebody like a Courtney Walsh used to wear those. And there is a good look at it. In fact, that's his back foot. There you see the front foot. But a good pair of those shoes probably cost more than 100 or 200 US. And the thought of buying them and then immediately taking a razor blade to them is something that I'm not quite there with yet. But a very good over by comparison for Rushil Lugarkar. 1 over in the books. Only conceded 4 runs. Almost miserly compared to the first 2 overs. End of the over, the score is 4-2 without loss.
So just to pick your brain for a bit, Brian, as a former left-arm quick yourself,
Yes, sir.
what would you have done when you were bowling long spells to ensure that you had some comfort in the shoes that you wore when you were delivering?
It's interesting because the shoes that I wore were high tops, and they were actually not cricket shoes specifically. You could go to the sporting goods store here and find them. They were actually for baseball players. So high top baseball players, but they fit not with the big spikes. They didn't have the big spikes. They had the little rubber studs. But for me, those worked perfectly. And that provided the perfect amount of support for if my ankle wanted to move laterally, or if I wanted to run through the crease, I did not have as much pressure on my toe. So that I found that to work perfectly well for me. And they weren't very expensive, if I remember correctly, around $60 or $70. So, for shoes that are high quality performance shoes, they actually worked very well for me.
And just to add to that, in modern cricket, we have seen many cricketers, in fact, use what would be considered quote-unquote normal shoes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in fact, in modern times, they have been adding spikes to normal shoes because with the advent of technology and all of these different inventions we have, players take shoes that they are very comfortable with and they personally customize them to suit the game of cricket as well as their own style.
Very interesting. So
Yeah.
the new bowler, by the way, coming from the southern end is the captain, Shubham Ranjani.
Seen a bit of bat repairs being done there by Nauman Anwar. Just rolling down the rubber.
I have a question for you on that subject. How much customization did you, or you still play, how much customization do you put into your bats? Swipe and a miss. Nauman Anwar seems to be in the mood to finish this game by over number 5.
So in terms of bats, I prefer a bat that's not too heavy. So the most that I might do, if I see a bat that I like and the willow is really good, has the proper amount of grains and the structure of the bat is very competent, then I might just shave the back and shave a bit of the weight off of it if needed.
Smashed one hop straight to Sanjay Krishnamurthy. That's interesting.
In addition to that, sometimes to even the weight, I might probably put an additional rubber and just it's about getting the right balance. You have to be comfortable when you're batting. At the end of the day, each delivery, you have to knock that bat. You have to raise it in your backlift, and it needs to be part of you. They always say a batsman has to be one with his bat.
Oh, well, he was one with that shot. Flies away over cover. Norman Anwar continues on his merry way. So, by the way, for anyone who's listening who is not necessarily familiar, and I know I have a few friends back in Texas who are watching this broadcast who are not necessarily originally cricket people, even though they're getting into it. When you say rubber, explain what you mean.
So I mean the bat rubber, which is exactly what Anwar was fixing in the delivery before, and that is what allows you to get the grip on the bat in addition to using the batting gloves.
Over the top, one bounce for 4 more. The 50 is up. We may not have very much time to keep explaining how to customize a bat here, Keshav, because only another 22 runs are needed for victory.
Well, I think Anwar is giving us an example while we are speaking about that, because he rolled the rubber to ensure that he was comfortable. And after that, we saw 2 very similar, almost identical shots for 4. And even those shots, the ball is rising, but he's quickly onto it. And to have a bat that you're comfortable with, you need to be able to manipulate those shots easily and effectively. And Anwar is certainly showing us that here today.
It's a bit of movement still inside the power play. 2 fielders outside. Deep mid-wicket, deep cover. Smashed, 1 bounce. Oh, it gets through mid-on. In fact, he'll just get a single for it. So back to the subject of customizations. I batted nowhere near the top. I came in when the spinners were on. My one goal was to look in the arc between long on and square leg and aim there. So I had a big, heavy bat.
I take it you were a boundary hitter?
That was basically the role. So the first thing I do when I buy a bat is to drill 3 holes in the bottom of it, sit it in linseed oil for about a week. That oil soaks all the way into the bat. It maybe goes in weighing 2.5. It comes out weighing 3.5. Then I have a relatively big hands, so I would put about 4 grips on the bat handle. So you're walking to the crease. It feels like you're carrying a weapon with you.
I was now going to say, that sounds like a weapon of mass destruction, especially in a game of cricket, because that I've never heard about 4 grips on a bat.
Yeah,
I've seen probably 2, maximum 3.
Oh, no,
but
4.
4 grips is certainly something to behold.
No, I'm a big guy. What can I say?
Strong.
Strong.
If you say big, some people might get the wrong idea.
Okay, I'm first of all very handsome.
Of course, I'm very well built, as you can see on the camera. Just showing the world all of your talents on display.
Okay, you can aim the other way. 52 without loss after 4. Rushilu Garkar back into the attack. Great delivery, bang on target with the Yorker, but look at that shot by Norman Anwar. It's going to run close to the boundary, and it slows down enough for Shubham Ranjane. In fact, I think they decided pretty earlier on that they'd settle for 2. They get there without much fuss. So, all of a sudden, you've gotten to the point where you only need another 21, make that 19 runs. Oh my goodness, I have to tell you something about a message I just received. Hammered, but Shubham Ranjan is right there. Just got a message. What commentary in Atlanta, listening from India. You know who that was from? Jaskaran Malhotra.
Wow.
Jaskaran, it is great to hear from you. We sing your praises every chance we can get.
As well as your brothers.
As well as your brother. Okay, your brother involved too. Swipe and a miss. That might go away for 4 byes, I believe. Rushilu Garkar is pretty quick, and the outfield is a lot quicker now. There's a signal from umpire Brian Kane, 4 byes.
And just as you mentioned that, Brian, it really is a testament to the fact of how global cricket is at this stage. And thanks to our production and thanks to the sponsors as well for allowing these games to be live streamed. it allows you to have access from all over the globe. I know we have friends back in the Caribbean, both from your home country, Jamaica, and mine's Trinidad and Tobago, looking on intently at the Atlanta Open T20.
In the direction between you or toward you and me, do we get the chance to feel the ball here? Oh,
Thankfully I do.
Let's see the arm. Let's see that arm. Oh, come on. I wanted to see that right to the keeper.
Didn't want to embarrass myself publicly, so took the safer route.
So more runs continue to flow. The score is now 62. Just another 11 needed for victory. Norman Anwar looking to make a statement here. In the direction of Sanjay Krishnamurthy on the boundary. Great work. Keeps it to 1. And by the way, that applause that you hear is Norman Anwar reaching his 50 from 24 balls, 5 4s and 4 6s. The captain is more than making up for his failure with the bat yesterday.
So you recall before they started this run chase, Brian, we said that ideally we would want them to reach to this target without losing any wickets. 10 runs are required in 15.1 overs. Anwar just got to his 50, and Lahiro is just taking his time. Only 7 from 6, but granted, his opposite partner has dominated the strike.
Well, that's going to be wide. So from now, a 6 and a 4 will do it.
Pretty much.
Do you, in fact, if there's a 6 off this last ball or a 4, it's the last ball of the over coming up. So either way, you get the sense that Norman Anwar will get a chance to finish the game in style. 64 without loss in 4.5 overs. Unbelievable stuff. 13.2 for the run rate. Looks to play this away. Can't get any bat on it, but it's another wide. Now 2 4s will take you home. Boy, we were handed our lunch about 5 minutes before the game started, before the inning started, and I was thinking, okay, we have another hour and a half before we can eat. Looks like we'll do it. We'll be doing it in the next few minutes.
It seems as if Anwar has your best interest at heart.
Well, I clearly look like I've missed a few meals. Worked into the offside, short third for a single. 14 runs come from that over. That is the end of over number 5. The score is 66 without loss.
So given the fact that the present run rate is 13.2 per over, this would certainly do wonders for the run rate in terms of the grouping and the standings for Knight Riders United. And I mean, given the finish yesterday as well, when they only made 129 when they batted first, but they bowled out the Carolina Smashers for just under 80, I believe. So it just goes to show you that they are not taking this game lightly. Yes, it was a modest total to chase. However, they are doing it in quite some style.
You're exactly right. The one thought that I think would have been interesting or important is the net run rate considerations that you just alluded to. And by the way, is this the case of closing the gate after the horse has bolted? Because Danish Canaria is now bowling from the southern end.
I would say if he's an impact player, he should have been probably introduced a bit earlier. Granted, their initial mindset would have been to reach past the power play and then bring him in being a leg spinner, and in the power play only 2 players are allowed outside of the 30-yard circle. However, it's the 6th over. He has to come in now because within 1 over or even within a couple balls, the game can be finished. And it's not fair to him to have to come to the defense 7 runs, but
oh, look at this. 1 delivery and the former international leg spinner does the trick. Lahiri Malanta goes dancing down the track. He's dismissed twice in a row in consecutive innings, looking to run down the track. Yesterday, he danced down the track to the pace bowler. Now he dances down to a former international leg spinner.
And what's interesting about this dismissal is that it's a leg spinner to a left-hander. The ball is turning into you. So to get stumped in that manner, chipping forward, is not the... How to put it this way? He'll be cross with himself. I'm trying to put it modestly because I think it wasn't the most sensible decision for him to chip down in that instance. And again, you just have a few runs to make. Watch the first delivery. You have so many balls remaining in the innings. Just play through the line. if he had played that ball straight behind the bowler, he would have gotten an easy single. Even if he went aggressively, he could have probably gotten 4. But take nothing away from the experience from Danish Canaria. And I mean, I was just about to say, right when he bowled that delivery, it's not fair to him to come on now to have to defend 7 runs and then he gets a wicket on his first ball. So who am I to determine what's fair, right? The cricket gods have spoken.
Is there any chance that with a required rate of less than 0.5 that the DCC Raiders can claw their way back into this game?
Now, the thing with cricket is that anything is possible. But it must be said that it's a extremely uphill task for them to achieve. More so with the fact that Joshua Trump has just arrived at the crease.
Joshua Trump has arrived at the crease, and going back to the conversation that we're having from about 10,000 miles here. Oh, look at this. Going aggressive. 3 slips. Oh, my.
3 slips and a leg slip in play.
And Joshua Trump shuts all that down, going over the top of extra cover for 6 to level the scores.
Well, he basically responded by saying, if you bring all the fielders close to me, I'm just going to hit it where there's nobody out there. And that delivery was pitched up right in the slot for him. And going on that form from yesterday, you know, it was really an easy strike there for Trump.
Well, I mentioned to you yesterday that one of his favorite scoring areas is deep extra cover. You saw evidence of it there. As clean a strike as you will ever expect to see from any batter, not the least of which came off of an international bowler.
And when it's nice, you do it twice. Short, stepping away, and punching that down the ground for 4. And that brings up the victory for Knight Riders United against the DCC Raiders Unlimited. Getting to that target in just 5.3 overs, 76 for the loss of 1 wicket, a run rate of 13.82. Joshua Trump finishing on 10 from 2, and Nauman Anwar 50 from 24. What a run chase, Brian.
Oh, my goodness. And you know who else is happy about this? The same man we just mentioned earlier, Jaskaran Malhotra, who says he's now being an agent for his brother. Sahib is there bowling solid leggies. Yes, we completely agree with that, Jaskaran. But what an innings. Put to the sword from the very get-go. They were watchful for the first over, only scoring about 9 runs in that first over. 9 runs came from the first over. But then after that, the back was broken when 29 runs came from the second over of the innings, the first bowled by Akhilesh Bodagam. And getting through that chase with a scoring rate of 13.82 and over is incredible.
It really is. Apart from the wicket falling of Lahiru Milantha in that over, I mean, it really was a seamless run chase. There's nothing you can say to fault Knight Riders United in this game, both with the ball and the bat, because to be able to chase that small target, they had to do an excellent job in the field initially. And I must say the left-arm spin of Ali Sheikh is truly something to behold, as well as the leg spin of Malhotra. And take nothing away from Rafiq, who started them off. He was the first one to get the wickets, got 3 in his spell, as well as contributing to a run-out, and essentially paved the way for the rest of the bowlers to restrict that team to this low total.
Unbelievable. Quick look at the scorecard. Not a whole lot of lines to read. Nauman Anwar did the majority of the damage. A strike rate of 208, 50 from 24. 5 4s and 4 6s. Lahiri Milantha, absolutely test match like. Strike rate was only 100. And Joshua Trump, strike rate of 500. 2 deliveries, 10 runs. Unbelievable stuff from the DC, or from the Knight Riders United. And the bowlers.
In terms of the bowling department, only one of the bowlers was lucky enough to get a wicket in that column. The legendary Danish Canary, as we just saw, in his first over, getting a wicket. Unfortunately, it was followed by a 6 and a 4. But take nothing away from the fact that he is the lone person to get a wicket for his team. In terms of the economy for the other bowlers, Krishnamurti did well, 1 over for 9 runs. That was the first over that you spoke about. Akhilesh Bodagam, I know that you were speaking very highly of his bowling, and
Akhilesh,
definitely
I'm sorry
he's
I
a very
jinxed you.
competent bowler. But it just goes to show you the game of cricket is unpredictable. Today he bowled 1 over for 29. Tomorrow he might bowl 4 overs and get 5 wickets. You never know, because he is a competent bowler, plays at the highest level in the United States of America, and certainly we would wish him the best to come back from that spell. Rushil Ugarkar, 2 overs for 14. The skipper, Shubham Ranjane, 1 over for 10. And then Canaria, 3 deliveries, 1 for 10.
We take a breath. We breathe. At this stage, we get to eat. We can probably eat a 5-course meal and have a nap and still come back in time for the second game. That starts at 2:30 later on this afternoon. Join us when it will be the Atlanta Fire who will be taking the field right here at field number 2. Atlanta Fire is essentially the baby of, let's just call it, the man who is the reason we're all here, Mr. Hassan Tariq. And we will see that team play on this field here in a couple of hours. By the way, the Atlanta Fire will be playing against, in fact, let's get the name of the opponent in 3, 2, 1, Carolina Smashers. So you'll see those two teams lock horns later on this afternoon. So in the meantime, just a summary again from the brand new, not the brand new, but the wonderful Paramveras Cricket Complex here in Georgia. The Knight Riders absolutely put their foot on the throats of the young men who were overmatched at this stage, you would have to say. I think you've seen where the dominance from the Knight Riders showed that the DCC Raiders, while they're a good squad, that they have a little bit of room to do to get up to the next level. So that is the end of the coverage from here. Brian Walters, along with the lovely, the talented Keshav Bahadur. Okay, I had it going there for a while. I messed it up that time.
You got it spot on each time. No worries at all, Brian. Definitely a pleasure to be here. And we'd also like to say thanks to our producer, Mr. Ronnie Bikram Das, as well as our cameraman, Mr. Ricky Rajaram, for the excellent work in the production of the first game. Keshav Bahadur Singh signing out from this match, and we look forward to rejoining you for the second encounter of day 2.